Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to share a terrifying story with you out of Austin, Texas, where police say horrified witnesses saved a 19-year-old who was being violently attacked by a man with a machete while on a morning walk at the hike and bike trail near Auditorium Shores on January 9th of 2024.
Was striking the victim, the kid, with a machete repeatedly, and the poor kid was on the ground, crawling, trying to get away.
As I was running, he chased me down like his life depended on, ending mine. It was definitely scary to see the amount of tenacity he had at ending my life. I was pretty confident that, that was just going to be how I died.
Police say they received numerous 911 calls from terrified witnesses who saw a man with a machete brutally attacking Seth Gott as he was leaving the walking trail that morning, including one from a courageous onlooker who yelled at the attacker to distract him away from Gott, and in doing so, ended up getting chased by the attacker himself.
A park full of people running, walking, enjoying the outdoors.
Like, how often do you come down here?
But it's always so populated, so I feel like I usually feel pretty safe because there's always a ton of people out here.
But Tuesday was no calm day on the trail at Auditorium Shores.
And we heard a woman just over here screaming, and she had her dog. She's like a jogger, and she was screaming for somebody to call 911.
Nathan Curtin is a frequent visitor to the park. He says what he saw Tuesday didn't feel real.
So I yelled out to the guy, hoping he would stop and run away or do whatever. I yelled out and just said, "Hey, I've got 911 on the phone." He did stop hitting the guy, but then he started chasing me with his machete.
Investigators say they have a suspect in custody, but the victim was left with life-threatening injuries. Curtin says the attack was gruesome.
The victim was on the ground, and he was actually crawling on all fours, and the guy was striking him. And then, he kind of rolled over on his back, and he was still striking him, and he just didn't look like he was going to stop.
And he says he'd like to see more security and mental health resources in the city.
As I was running, being chased by the homicidal maniac, it occurred to me that it'd be nice if there were maybe a couple of cops just stationed in this general park area, just to look out for these sort of things.
From his ICU hospital room, Seth Gott Thursday afternoon spoke about his slow recovery from an all-too-real nightmare.
It's definitely felt unreal, almost just like a crazy dream.
The attack happened Tuesday morning along the hiking trail at Austin's Auditorium Shores. Investigators say a man got up from a bench as Seth walked by and blindsided him with a machete.
Wasn't really sure what it was. It definitely didn't feel like I was getting sliced with a machete.
Let me stop you right there. It didn't feel like you were being attacked by a machete? What did it feel like?
It felt you would expect it to hurt a lot more than it did.
Right.
It really didn't hurt at all in the moment. It felt sort of like just getting hit with a blunt stick. It didn't feel like I was getting cut open. I didn't notice there was a machete at all.
Did you just know what was going on, or was it like, what's happening here?
It took me a while, probably not until the third time he had hit me with it, until I realized that, oh, this is a machete that he's attacking me with. This is real.
Seth told investigators he repeatedly begged this man, Ashton Kane Talley, to please stop as the strikes continued. According to court documents, after Talley was captured, he gave investigators a rambling excuse that he got upset for being bumped into. Witnesses say the machete that Talley used was thrown into Lady Bird Lake when he crossed the Pfluger pedestrian bridge. The unprovoked attack on Seth nearly cut off his left hand, smashed his right hand, and left deep cuts on his face, head, and legs. Thursday, he showed me how doctors reattached his hand and are in the process of repairing his fingers. All possible because people ran to his aid and stopped the bleeding. Dusty Colquitt, Seth's mom, has been at his side since flying from her home in North Dakota.
I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like, there is no words to describe how just grateful I am that there are such kind people, and for them to just rush to aid him and stop the bleeding, and they saved his life. I don't know what else to say except just thank you.
A GoFundMe site has been set up to help pay for medical expenses.
There is no words that exist in any dictionary that can express my gratitude to the people, especially the people who were there, who weren't trained doctors, who didn't have any obligation to help me, who put their lives on the line to save mine, who did everything in their power to not only keep me alive, but they kept me, believing that I would survive. They didn't let me. Uh, I was so afraid that I was going to die in that moment, but they kept me sane.
When you came to Austin, how long you've been here? Let's start really general about that before we get into things.
Yeah. I moved to Austin when I was in like middle school, like 8th grade. And I fell in love with the city. It's so much better than Louisiana was. I've never been to a city quite like Austin. I love it here. Um, it's so beautiful. I love the geography. I love the culture. I love the people. There's so much cultural density in Austin. Anywhere you go, you'll look around and you'll see so much different stuff. There's always so much to explore. It's a nice, clean city. There's not a lot of crime. Uh, so yeah, it's a real nice place to be. I love the food. I love Austin.
Seth, I want to talk about also one last question before we get into it. That area right there at Auditorium Shores, the trail, it's a really popular area. Do you visit there often? What were you kind of doing that day? Were you on a run? Like, tell me a little bit about the morning.
Yeah, I visit there pretty often. Just I like to walk around. In a lot of that area, it's just nice, pretty place. That day I woke up early and wanted to go out on a nice morning walk, and I thought, that's an easy place to go. It'll just be nice and pretty. I'll get to see the water and stuff. And I go there pretty often. I've been there hundreds of times before.
So, Seth, I want to now obviously lead into Tuesday morning, I believe it was. But I want to lead into that morning. Obviously, you just said, you got up early, wanted to see the city, the water, all of that. Kind of described to me. We know where it was. It was right there, really in the middle of Auditorium Shores at the front. If you don't mind, just sort of walking me through sort of what led up and where this man came from, all of those things.
Yeah, so I had already pretty much finished my walk. I was walking back to that parking lot to get to my car. Um, I had my earbuds in. I had my hood up because it was kind of cold that morning. I was just walking, listening to music. And all of a sudden, I feel like somebody kind of shoulder checks me from behind almost. It just feels like somebody bumped into me, maybe with like a stick or something in their hand. And I wasn't really sure what, was going on. But when they did it, they had done it. They were moving so fast that they kind of fell in front of me. And so I just kind of put my hands up. I was like trying to make sure that they didn't mistake me for somebody else because I had my hood on. I got a big jacket on. I wanted to, be sure, there was anything happening. I didn't realize, what was going on until he had turned and I saw the machete in his hand, right? And even then, it didn't really seem real until he went and swung again, and I kind of put out my hand just instinctively, and when it cut through my hand, it was that was when it kind of set in what was going on.
It's really easy in situations of trauma like this also to black out. So, of course, you may have things that you don't even remember. We do have some eyewitnesses that say, once they realized what was going on and they were able to lock eyes with you, it was just almost like the guy was relentless. Do you remember once after that first bit, was he just still going at it? Tell me about that.
He did. It was probably a minute long altercation, and during that minute, there was almost no pause in the swinging. He hit me maybe 10 or 15 times, but he swung a lot more than that. It was pretty relentless, which was so terrifying. He didn't say anything or make any faces, but he did not stop or back away from me, or as I was running, he chased me down like his life depended on you know ending mine. It was definitely scary to see the amount of tenacity he had at ending my life. It was pretty terrifying.
There has to be a moment where you feel like, am I about to make it? What's running through your head? This came out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
I think, immediately after he started hitting me, I was just thinking, okay, I need to get away. Um, but when I ran, I realized that first bump was him cutting across my back, and I lost my balance and fell. Um, and when I was on the ground, he ran up to me, and I kind of held my hand up. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? And that was the only moment during the altercation where he paused, and just for a second, he kind of held up the machete and paused for a second as I said it. And it almost looked like he thought about it for a second. Um, but then he just kept going. And when he swung again after that, that was when I realized that there isn't really a reason at all. It's just, I am going to die. Um, that was when it kind of set in. And throughout that experience, for the following, I don't know, there was probably 40 more seconds of him going at me. It was, I was pretty confident that, that was just going to be how I died. Uh, Especially after he started hitting me in the head. I got hit 3 times in the head. Um, and during when he hit me with one of them, I fell to the ground immediately, and everything got really hazy and woozy. It felt like I was about to lose consciousness right then. And that was probably the scariest it had gotten.
Seth, I just have a couple more. People on Reddit that were there, people on social media talking about, there was a man came to you quickly with a tourniquet, ripped his shirt off. I don't know if you saw, but we spoke with the man as well who made the call to 911. He started being chased by the guy with the machete. To see, and you would hope this is an obvious reaction from people around you trying to help you, but to see those people really spring in, no matter if they're in danger either, how did that feel for you? Of course, in the moment, but looking at it now, how does that feel?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in the moment, there was this immediate sense of community almost. The second, like I was on the ground, after he had hit me in the head, I was on the ground and he was swinging at me over and over. And I really thought that was it until that man had made that call and yelled at him, and absolutely saved my life. When he started leaving me and started chasing that guy, um, all of the other people who were there rushed to my side. Yeah, like put on tourniquets on both of my arms, um, and helped calm me down and kept me awake and conscious while we waited for the ambulance. And I can't thank any of those people enough. I mean, without their help, I absolutely would not have made it. Um, and they made it. I felt immediately like I had everybody wanted to help me. You know, like even though there was this one person who really wanted to end my life, there were 20 other people there who were doing everything in their power to save it.
Absolutely. My last question is, and this one's a hard one too, but you know, what do you, as you look for, I mean, you're done, after this has happened, you're now in the hospital. It seems like you're in great spirits. Um, but this doesn't feel, I could assume, like the Austin that you know and love, does this feel like something that's come out of nowhere? Are you worried moving forward, or are you just kind of in the moment of just being grateful?
Well, it absolutely was a shock, right? I have family all over the United States, and a lot of them live in more dangerous areas. And it was everybody told me it was a surprise that I was the one, here who it happened to. Um, it definitely was a shock, uh, especially coming out of the blue randomly like that. But I think when we have so many people who don't have access to mental health resources, um, who we can't tell if they're going to have issues like this because they don't have access to hospitals who can maybe help them or prevent this, or say this person should not be out on the street with a machete. um, I don't think anything comes from nowhere. I think this guy didn't come out of the womb wanting to randomly kill people on the street. So I think that there are things that we can do and resources that we can invest in to prevent more attacks like this, because other people won't be as lucky as I was.
That's such a mature answer too, after everything you just went through. Seth, and I assume if it's mom or dad or whoever's behind the camera, if you're comfortable and you can say no, can we see, I mean, I assume you're bandaged up. Can we just see some of, that?
Yeah,
If you'll just
absolutely.
move around. Okay, thank you.
Show the
And you
injuries.
can just kind of describe your injuries too. So obviously we see your arms are bandaged
So
up.
my right arm is has the worst of the injuries. The artery and one of the arteries and the nerve and tendons on the right side of my right arm were severed. I have multiple deep lacerations along the arm. I've lost feeling in 2 of the fingers, but we're hoping I have another surgery on Friday that they can repair they've already repaired the artery. They're hoping they can repair the nerve and the tendons, so I'll be able to feel and move these fingers again. This arm isn't as bad. It's just all of the fingers were kind of crushed and cut up a little bit. So the bones in there have been shattered. So they need to go in and kind of pin all of them together. They have to put these little metal pins inside my hand. I have lacerations along my back and along my legs, and one along my ear, above my temple on the right side of my head and the back side of my head. Yeah.
So pretty much all over. And mom, this is a good angle right here. I'm gonna ask him one last question, but is this your mother? I'm assuming before I keep.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Hello, mom. Seth, you just pretty much did an incredible job, obviously, because you've been told by doctors what's going on with you, what's been hit. What does recovery look like? It seems like you're at one of the best places, first off, when it comes to care. So that's a blessing. But do you feel like you're going to pretty much make some good recovery steps moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the doctors and nurses here have been so amazing to me. They've treated me like a king. And I've already made a lot of progress. I'm walking. I have an appointment with physical therapy later today to go walk down the halls of the hospital. Most of the recovery process is going to be getting my hands back to their normal functioning. It's going to be a couple months before I can get them working at full capacity again. But other than that, it's mostly waiting for that second surgery on Friday. And yeah, they don't know the exact extent of the damage to some of my fingers or how long it might take to repair them. But it's probably going to be 3 to 6 months of physical therapy, trying to get back to a point where I can go work again and be typing and using my hands for all the things that we use them for.
Everyone wants to feel safe in their own city, and when we see stuff like this happen, like it challenges that sense of safety that people have.
Austin Police Association President Michael Bullock says nothing like Tuesday morning's machete attack should have ever happened.
I wish he'd never had gone through this in the first place, but I am glad that he's okay as much as he can be right now. Long road ahead.
Court documents reveal police received more than 10 911 calls as the attack was happening. 19-year-old Seth Gott suffered more than a dozen lacerations to the back, face, knees, scalp, and a, quote, almost complete amputation of his left hand. He remains hospitalized but stable.
Being able to continue on and recognize the work that others are even doing for the Good Samaritans that were nearby. Like, it's an incredible testament to his attitude through all of this.
Documents say witnesses quickly told police where the suspect, later identified as Ashton Talley, ran off to, and they chased him north of the Pfluger pedestrian bridge. When they arrested him, he was allegedly covered in blood.
It's hard to tell, right? Like, sometimes is it someone who truly is experiencing mental health, they're under the influence of something, or sadly there are people out there who just truly do mean evil towards other people for no apparent reason.
Witness Nathan Curtin was named in the affidavit. He says he was briefly chased by Talley after threatening to call police.
I was kind of shook yesterday, and today I'm quite a bit better, and I'm just glad everybody's okay, and I hope the fella, the victim, is okay and has a full recovery.
He would like to see some kind of police presence in the park moving forward.
So it's kind of a bit of a precarious things sometimes, and situations like this can occur, and it would be good, and if there was like maybe some park police station there on a semi-permanent basis.
Bullock agrees. While there was once a parks division, he says the current staffing shortage and lack of resources gets in the way of visibility.
I do believe wholeheartedly that we need the staffing and we need the ability to do those kinds of patrols and to have those kinds of units and resources. That's critical.
I can't imagine how terrifying it had to be for Seth when he saw the machete and realized what was happening to him, and that he was probably going to die right then and there. And for the people who witnessed the attack, who were just out enjoying their morning and were suddenly launched into a terrifying nightmare. The people who jumped in and rescued him are heroes. They are probably the only reason he's alive today. Angels who stood against evil and won.
You may have saved that teenager's life. You know that, right?
Well, the detective called me and said that was the case.
I think Seth said it best.
An affidavit released Thursday indicated those people who stepped in to stop the bleeding may have saved his life.
It's really easy to feel kind of alone, but when something like this happens, so many people from all over the place, people that I barely even know, come together to help. I think it's important to show that even when there is a person who is capable of so much evil, that there are hundreds more good people for every person like that who will be there to help.
Great.
And with that, I hope he makes a full recovery and is able to enjoy going on his morning walks again soon. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Seth's terrifying story. I appreciate it. And if you're interested in hearing more true crime stories, consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell so you know when I post a new story. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on my next video.